Hello, everybody. This is Greg Ryder, and welcome to Angel Investors Network Live. And this is exciting because I've done this a number of times. We're going to get 2015 is going to be the year of consistency with our Angel Investors Network Live, where we interview successful entrepreneurs and successful investors with the goal to provide you wisdom, knowledge, insights, tips, strategies, tactics, anything that can help you succeed, because our mission at Angel Investors Network is to help entrepreneurs succeed. We provide investment capital, we provide coaching, we provide mentoring, we have connections for distribution, manufacturing, prototyping, you name it, we can get it done. And so we're all about helping entrepreneurs succeed. And the reason why we do this is because we're huge proponents of fans of capitalism. And it is my goal, my personal goal, to build the largest community in the United States of America that have raised their hand and said, yes, I want to perpetuate free enterprise and capitalism, because we believe innovation is fun. Innovation drives excitement. Innovation drives energy. And everything entrepreneurs do is what provides this great country that we have. So we want to continue to support that effort and support that and what's going on. So that leads me right into today's guest. And today's guest, Lane Ethridge, I think I've bumped into him a couple times at different events, but not really got introduced to him. And then somehow I got introduced to him, and we had one conversation on the phone, and I immediately resonated with Lane, because Lane's mission is to help entrepreneurs, help them with their dreams, help them succeed. And although my focus is more on the investment side and the capital side, we're going to find out what Lane's focuses on today, because to be honest with you, we had that call. We kind of resonate with each other. I want to help promote his event because he is helping entrepreneurs, and I want to support anybody who's helping support entrepreneurs. And he's having an event coming up here in wonderful San Diego. So I'm like, let me interview you. And he has no idea the questions I'm going to ask him. So I didn't prepare him for this or anything. So with that being said, I want to say, Lane, welcome, and I appreciate you joining us today.
Greg, it's a pleasure. I've heard amazing things about you and the brief interaction that we've gotten to have together. It's so fun to collaborate, and we know nowadays that competition isn't the key, right? It's collaboration, and we can competitively help each other get to the next level. But you gotta come together and grow in that way. So I'm super excited to partner up with you and the things that you're doing. And I know you've got some of your team that's going to be coming to my event. So it is all about collaboration, helping each other competitively get to the next level through cooperation.
No, I love that, and I say it all the time, and the whole cooperative nature, and I think it's even on our website. It's like through the spirit of cooperation and technology, we want to just kind of provide this platform to network and help entrepreneurs succeed, because we believe that if you're not growing, you're dying, and we want you to grow, right? We want everyone to succeed and grow. So Lane, I know you're a best-selling author and a writer and a speaker, and you've kind of been out there doing some stuff, but why don't you give us like a little 1-minute background on what you're doing and who you are?
Well, Greg, I obviously haven't always been an entrepreneur. I was actually a teacher back in Maryland, teaching 7th and 8th grade pre-algebra and algebra to little teeny bopper 13 and 14-year-olds, and I loved it. That's when I fell in love with people. I fell in love with the mentorship concept, the teaching, and imparting the things that I knew into other minds. And obviously this was a very regimented, very politically based school system in the public school system in Rockville, Maryland. But that's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with people and helping and mentoring and coaching. And obviously I do it in a different capacity, just like you now, with people that really seek out our mentorship rather than a 7th or 8th grade that's forced to be in a seat. But that's what really got me the desire to help others learn something that would help improve their life. And in the public school system, obviously, it was to fill in a Scantron to get a good grade so that I look good as a teacher. And I'll be honest, Greg, once I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the first book outside of academia was the first book that shifted my paradigm. And I quit teaching that next day, pretty much, after reading that, because I didn't believe in what I was currently doing. And so that's my background, and I can share more about kind of the entrepreneurial endeavors that I've had. But teaching is my passion, and I was getting paid as a W-2 to teach. Now I'm getting paid as an entrepreneur to teach. So that's really my passion, is helping others through a direct or an indirect mentorship.
No, I love that. And that's why I liked you so much, because you're a teacher. I didn't know that about you, so that's awesome. And we have a mutual friend Greg Reed, and I saw Greg the other day, and he was talking about the difference between, successful people seek counsel rather than opinion. He made a
Yep.
statement, and I'm not sure I got it exactly right, but that's the
Yep.
whole
You did.
point, is that everybody listening, I want to put in front of you people that you can seek counsel from, as opposed to opinion. And the difference is counsel comes from somebody who's been there, done that, achieved this, achieved that, and they want to share and help people avoid the landmines, and that's what we have in Lane today. So, Lane, if I was to ask you, and again, I'm one of these type of guys, when I do this, I kind of just go with what I feel like, and like I said, I didn't prepare Lane. Some people want me to prepare him with questions he didn't ask, so I didn't give them to him. And so I'm just going to ask you some questions off the cuff. I'm one of these guys like to get right to the point. I remember when I started speaking on stage publicly, a guy told me, he said, if you speak on my stage, I want you to give me value every 5 minutes, or you'll never speak on my stage again. And that was my first foray into speaking live, and I've always tried to. I love that, so I'm kind of that way anyway. So jumping right into it, Lane, and then we'll kind of talk about your event as we wrap up this interview. But if there was one thing that you could tell an entrepreneur that they need to focus on, and let's do this two ways. Let's do it with an entrepreneur they're thinking of jumping off I got a job, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm sick of my job, I want to be an entrepreneur. What's the one thing that you would tell that entrepreneur? And then I want you to take that same thought process and I say, what's the one thing you would tell an entrepreneur that's been out there, they're struggling, they're fighting, they haven't accomplished and achieved what they want to accomplish, but they're still there. So let's go with that.
All right, well, let's start with the person that may be stuck in a cubicle, the 9 to 5. 70% of people, Greg, right now that are going to be watching this, who are a 9 to 5er that don't like what they're doing, are dreaming about how do they get out of it. And so we know that a huge percentage, almost 3/4 of the people in the workforce, do not like what they do, and they want to figure out how do they make that transition, how do they make that lane change to get out of that. And for me, again, going from teaching to moving all the way across the country with no network, no job, no income, literally nothing, kind of on a whim and faith, my challenge to you would be faith. Follow full assurance in the heart. That's what faith stands for, full assurance in the heart. And so the problem is, as humans, we get stuck up here. We know that Napoleon Hill has taught us whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe he can achieve, right? But the problem becomes that we don't do enough due diligence and we don't train ourselves enough to think the right way. We think based on the paradigms and the belief systems that have been created typically before we even have the conscious mind to understand what the heck we're thinking about. And so my challenge to the kind of 9 to 5er looking to make that transition is follow your heart. There's something out there that you want to do. You just don't know how to do it. And sometimes it takes a leap of faith. But, Greg, what you just said is so important. When I moved to San Diego, again, with nothing, I mean, we're talking nothing. I was riding a bike around and didn't have a network, didn't know anybody from Adam. I went and caddied at Rancho Santa Fe, which is ironically where my event is going to be. And the reason I did that is this, Greg. I understood there were two types of mentors, in my opinion. One was the passive mentors, those that, Robert Kiyosaki, who I have yet to meet, but I know him and I've read all of his books. We have the people that we listen to in the cars, and we call them our mentors, but we never really meet them. But what I did is I needed to seek out mentors that would teach me. I wanted to go learn from somebody that was paying more money to join a country club than I had ever made in my entire life. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I did. I caddied every single day for 4 hours, carrying bags on my shoulders, sweating, but I was surrounded for 4 hours with guys and women who understood how to make wealth. And so I voluntarily gave myself and my time, for a little bit of cash to get by and be able to eat and pay for rent and everything. But it was the knowledge and the wisdom that I got from surrounding myself with millionaires and billionaires out there, and that was the difference. They opened up doors for me and invited me to come have a beer, because the funny thing that happened, Greg, is just like you said, give value. At the end of the rounds, I would say, look, I appreciate your time. I really don't need your money. Now, did I need money? Heck yeah, I needed it more than they could even imagine. They were spending that on a beer. That's how much they were making. Was what they were tipping me, and I needed it more than anything. But when I told them why I wanted to spend 4 hours with them, they were blown away. They're like, "There's no way you're a caddy." I said, "No, I'm more than that. I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, and I want to get to where you are. The value that I got from you and spending time with you is worth way more than the cash you can give me." Now, here's the funny thing that happened. Typically, they would tip me double, and then they would invite me to come have a beer, and they would teach me something. They would open up a door. They would invite me to a millionaire dinner, and And I just started understanding the power, like Greg has taught us, of association. We become the direct reflection of the 5 people we hang out with the most and the 5 books that we read, right? And that was what changed everything for me, surrounding myself and understanding the way they think and starting to think differently, think my way into success. Even though I was broke, I knew I wasn't broken. I was able to have accomplishments before they actually came to fruition. So I started seeing and envisioning, and we know, biblically it says, without vision a man perishes. I started to see things that I didn't even know were possible, and then my body started catching up, and my dreams started to catch up with what was actually coming reality. So that's the thing that I would challenge, is go take the next step. And I've got more things that I can share, but let's at least wrap that part of it up.
And let me make a quick comment, and then we'll go to the next one. So that was good, and I can't tell you, everyone listening, the thousands of people that I've met and interviewed and talked to, that is a recurring theme, right? They've put themselves in a place to meet and surround themselves with successful people that can provide counsel, insight, wisdom, knowledge, relationships that can change your life, which obviously, if you're watching this now, is what you're doing. So I want to commend you for taking your time, which I value more than anything, is time is valuable, and I value your time. So thank you for that. So there's for that new entrepreneur. Now let's say you're kind of a seasoned entrepreneur, but something's not clicked for you, you haven't made the accomplishments. What's the number one thing you would suggest to that entrepreneur that wants to get out there, that's in there and they've been in the trenches and something's not working for them?
I think the answer is get crazy. We're all unique. And as an entrepreneur, it's so funny. I read a meme yesterday that said, if you don't want a 9-to-5, be willing to work 24/7, basically, right? And a lot of us don't want a 9-to-5 job because we want freedom, but yet we're willing to grind 24/7. And nobody that has success will ever tell you that they just coasted through. You've got to grind. You see, Greg, I want to share a story with you because it'll tie into the message that, and hopefully the value that I can give to that entrepreneur that's been in the trenches for a while. And when I first started entrepreneurship, the next book I read after I moved to San Diego was Think and Grow Rich. And we know the concept about Napoleon Hill talking about thinking your way into success. And again, not having any idea about personal development or law of attraction, I just resonated with the story because I had just moved from Maryland to San Diego. And we know that R.U. Darby moved from Maryland to California during the gold strike. Now, here's what happened. The next book I stumbled upon was a book called 3 Feet from Gold. I had no idea who the author was. I didn't know anything about law of attraction. I didn't know who Napoleon Hill was. I just happened to find a book. And we all know that books come into our lives, people come into our lives at the right time. We may be blind to the reality that they can help us, but they come in at the perfect time. What I did, Greg, there was a letter in the book called 3 Feet from Gold from Napoleon Hill that he had written to his wife when they were broke. And he said, look, baby, I'll bring home the bacon. All I need is support, right? And when I read that, I was like, man, that's the one thing that I crave more than anything. And so what I did, Greg, I went and bought a yardstick, and I carried the yardstick everywhere for a single year. 365 days, it didn't leave my hand. It was on first dates. It was on second dates if I ever got it, which were rare because they thought I was a freak. It was at the grocery store. I slept with it. It became my companion. And the reason was I knew I was 3 feet from gold. I didn't know what gold was. Gold can be a better relationship. It can be a deeper faith. It can be financially. But what I knew is that I needed to keep going. And here's the amazing thing that happened. I started to invest in real estate. I got my first job, and I got my first mentor who would literally listen to my calls. They gave me a script, and I made 100 cold calls per day. Again, going from teaching to now selling real estate. I was the fastest grower in the company because I did exactly what they told me to do, and I did it better and stronger and faster and more than the other people in the office. So much so that we eventually had the opportunity to launch a new company as a branch of that and selling real estate courses to wannabe investors. I'm up on stage, and I have my yardstick, of course, and what happened, Greg, is after my presentation of an hour, 5 guys come up to me, and they shake my hand. They said, you know what, I want to sit down with you. I'm open to coaching and buying into your product. I said, great. Another guy walks up, and he says, Lane, I don't care about real estate, man. I'm good to go with that. But I'm curious, why do you have that frickin' yardstick? And I looked at the guy and I said, look, this book, 3 Feet from Gold, hit me at the right time in my life. I don't really recommend that you go read this particular book, but it helped me, and whatever book might help you. And Greg, the guy looks me in the eye and shakes my hand. He says, Lane, my name is Greg Reed. I'm the author of that book. I wrote that with Sharon Lecter.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
now, obviously, you were just hanging out with him a couple days ago, and that was the first time in my life that I believed that I attracted somebody that I wanted to mentor me, and we became friends, and we eventually co-authored my first book with Greg Reed and Les Brown and Brian Tracy, and he opened up doors that I could never imagine. And I went to work for him in his office every single day, and I'm playing poker with the guys from The Secret, and this little guy from Maryland that was teaching, now hanging out with the icons in personal development, and it was just amazing. And so I guess my answer to your question is you got to be a little crazy. You got to stick out, because if you want to be outstanding, you have to stand out. And the only way to do that is go after what you want with so much zest, just so much passion that you start to attract people into your life, right? And you've got to make a lane change. You've got to make that small shift to go in a new direction or take your business to the next level. And sometimes it's a minute shifts, and sometimes it's a complete lane change where you'll go in a completely different direction, and life either forces the detour or you choose to make that detour, right? And so
Yeah.
that's my challenge to those that are sitting there. And again, surround yourself with people that are having success, because they breed success, and you're going to get frustrated that you're playing small. And even when you think you're playing big, there's people out there that are crushing it. And then you're like, man, I got to second guess what my level of thought is, because hanging out with billionaires is different than millionaires, right?
No, that's awesome wisdom, and I know I wasn't planning on doing this, but I got to show this to you. So I have two books within arm's reach: Think and Grow Rich,
Boom, there you go.
and the good book, the Bible, right?
Yep.
So, and a real quick story for you. I was 19 when I read the Think and Grow Rich. Changed my life. I ended up becoming the youngest owner of a full-service investment banking firm in the history of the country because I read that book, Think and Grow Rich. And I was like, that's all you got to do. That's easy. It's interesting.
Right.
And I got to tell you another quick little story. So I've known Greg Reed for a long time, right? And I was traipsing around the country, and we were on a fundraising campaign, raising money for this company called Children's Educational Network that helps protect and educate kids on the internet from predators, pornography, hate, and violence. And it was just the weirdest thing. Greg was on his quest doing the interviews for 3 Feet from Gold, and he also was carrying a yardstick everywhere he went. And I ran into him at this airport in LaGuardia, and I ran into him in Florida, I ran into him in Chicago. And we must have bumped into each other on 5 or 6 different airports. And every time he tells a story, at least when I'm in the room, he brings it up. I literally bumped. I'm like, what do you? And we kept running to each other at the airports, and he's carrying this 3 Foot stick, and he was getting people to sign it. Right, because that was his 3 feet from gold, and he went and did the interviews and stuff. So I'm one of those guys that living proof that he actually did those travels, because I kept running into him at the airports by himself, alone.
And now what we got to do
that.
is ask him, because I think he got the idea from meeting me when I was carrying the yardstick. I've got a picture from 2009 when he spoke at the event that I was speaking at, and I may be incorrect, so I'll double check with Greg. I can text him after.
No. This was before he wrote the book.
Oh, before. Okay, then that's even crazier. That's even awesome, because then I was doing what my mentor was doing without knowing that he had done that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
He carried that thing from airport to airport to airport and carried it with him. And every guy that he went and interviewed for that book, he had him sign that yardstick. And then when he did the book launch, he sold that to raise money for charity. I think it went for like $5,000, 3 foot yardstick.
That's awesome.
So okay,
Love
so
it.
this is awesome. So now let me ask you a question. So now let's kind of take it into my world of money, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs come to us and they need money, right? And you've accomplished, certain levels of success. You still want to grow like all of us entrepreneurs do. Did you ever get money from investors? Did you ever think of getting money from investors? And if you did, tell me about that. If you didn't, tell me how you did it and got to where you are without money from investors.
Yeah, the answer is both. Yes. So when I started investing in real estate, the first house I bought was $11,900 in Indianapolis for a 3-bed, 1-bath. I went through a program that I won't mention necessarily, but I dropped $35,000 of my own money on credit cards that they had taught me to use OPM before I knew what that meant. So they were basically NLPing me into opening credit cards to pay them, right, to get their courses. And so I started understanding the power of using other people's money to get what I want. And here's the thing, Greg. The first deal I bought, this was back in Maryland when I was tutoring. So I was tutoring this kid who lived in a wealthy area of Maryland in Bethesda. And literally the day before we had to fund the property, I went to his dad and I said, look, I have no idea if you're interested, but I'm a full-time real estate investor, and I've got this amazing deal. Now I'm sweating bullets, right, because I'm not a real estate investor. I haven't done a deal yet. But I had this deal that I had to get under contract. And so I said, I don't know if you're interested, but the ARV is about 60,000. We're going to be 35,000 in. Do you have any interest in investing in it? And he said, yeah, sure. So the day before funding, boom, I got my first check for 12 grand from a guy's dad who I was tutoring, and that was just that was kind of serendipitous. My most recent one was actually to launch Changing Lanes. So yes, through networking, I've had the ability to do some of that, and I just got a loan to kind of start and fund some of the event that I'm doing. And so yeah, I've had multiple times of doing that, but I've also learned how to do it without money as well, and through bartering and giving my time. And so I've kind of been in both worlds. And so I don't know what you want me to impart more about that, but the answer is yes, I've done both.
That's cool. Well, let me guide you from there. Now, let me make a point right here. So as an investor who's been writing checks and funding and raising hundreds of millions of dollars with entrepreneurs, I listen to the words, I watch the mannerisms, I pick up on things. And so one of the things I teach entrepreneurs when it comes to raising capital is, as an entrepreneur, you need to be cognizant that investors are doing this. So I want to make a point right now. You've been listening to Lane for the better part of what, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We're almost at 20 minutes, and everything he's talked about, the word I'm going to bring up is commitment. Right? You can tell by the actions he took from the time he left Maryland with no money to come out here to Southern California, from when he went to be a caddy at the golf course in Rancho Santa Fe, to where he went to work with Greg Reed in carrying the stick around. See, the idea that somebody carries a stick everywhere they go for a year, that shows me as an investor a level of commitment that separates him from 99% of everybody else in the world. And that's what investors want to invest in. So I had to make that point because I wanted to throw you the kudos, but that is such a big thing. Like when we invest, and most professional investors look at things, there's two things that weigh heavily on our investment decision. One is the management team, and then when it comes to the management team, it's the commitment of the management team, right? And their ability to do stuff. So I think that's awesome. So with that being said, did you have any formal training on how to structure an investment, how to get investors, what to say to them, how to say to them, or another thing that I find people is they get investors, but they have no level of comprehension of the seriousness of getting money from an investor. Like I tell people, once you take one check, your life and commitment must change. You must honor that person's hard-earned money. So did you have any formal training talking to you about investors and getting money from investors?
Well, Greg, you know, Jim Rohn says, right, an education will make you a living, a self-education will make you a fortune, right? So in order for any of us, I'm sure you as well, we had to get some kind of self-education in doing that and seeking that out. Going to somebody like Greg, like, you know, you can educate people about what they should be doing. That's why you're such a valuable resource and why you've built such a huge network, is because you're gonna guide them down the right ways to make sure that they set themselves up. And the answer is yes and no. When I went through the real estate courses, they did teach us how to go about raising some capital. But again, it's going out there and grinding and doing it. Somebody can teach you how. You've got to go do the hard freaking work. And so part of it was through trial and error. Part of it was through counsel. But I was going on opinion first. And until I met Greg, I didn't understand the difference between the two. And you obviously provide counsel to your network about how to do that. And so I appreciate you and everything that you're doing in that. And I'll tell you this, Greg, one of the hardest things this year, being an entrepreneur can be really, really freaking hard, right? Really challenging, really trying. I had one of my most prosperous years. I had one of my best years, and I know that 2015 is going to be the biggest one because 5 years of building is about to explode. We know how bamboo tree grows, right? In the 7th year, it grows 80 feet out of the 90 feet that it's going to be because of 7 years of growth that we don't see, and then boom, it shoots up. And I feel like that's where I am. And going back to the question you asked, for the entrepreneur that's kind of frustrated or in that trench, man, I'll tell you what, you might be that bamboo tree that this is your year to sprout and have that massive, momentous growth, and so keep going. But I'll tell you this, one of the biggest setbacks I had, and the most I learned about people, and obviously I know we both have a faith that's deep-rooted in Christianity, and whether you do or not, it doesn't matter. For me, that's a huge part of me. And Greg, I had a large amount of money stolen from me. I actually became an investor for the first time and lent money to somebody that ended up, he was a con artist. And I know that's not the best thing that we want to talk about when we're talking about Angel Investor Network, but the key is to seek counsel from somebody like Greg Ryder that gets what the heck he's doing, so he can protect you and you can protect him, right? And it was such a slap in the face. I brought him to my Bible study even after I knew he was a con artist and he wasn't going to pay me back. And con artists have a way of coming back into your life to make you feel good, and then they leave again. And it was, dude, I will tell you what, it was one of the hardest life changes that I've had to make. It made me question people. It made me question entrepreneurship. It made me question investing. And I'll tell you what, it fueled me to now have so much more success, but also educate people and protect them about what are they doing and who are they giving their money to, right?
Wow.
And it's so valuable, Greg. And this set me back. I mean, I'm telling you what, I took it out of my Roth IRA to help this guy because I thought he needed it. Now I've got tax consequences. It's like, come on, man. But the reality is that it's a setback. It's not a breaking point. Sometimes we have to get to rock bottom because rock bottom is a solid foundation. I started my career $35,000 in debt. I'm not suggesting people do that. I took a leap of faith to start doing what I wanted to do to go after my dreams. And the reason I went in debt was because they taught me how to use OPM, but it was still debt, right? And so the reason I bring that up is, Greg, I respect what you're doing, and I think that the viewers that are watching, I hope they've gotten something from me, but we know we need to support each other in what we're doing. And when you find somebody that's doing something legitimately with ethics and integrity, like that is the kind of people you want to edify for other people, because there's few and far between that do it the right way, consistently, and will never go against their integrity, their ethics, and their personal commitment to themselves and to their business, even if that means losing a little bit of money, right? Because they know that in the long term, God or whoever it is that you believe in will protect you moving forward. And I know I've seen it show up already through faith and following my heart and launching changing lanes, that people are coming out of the woodworks and wanting to help me out. And so anyway, I know that was kind of a tangent, but it's so important to make sure that you seek counsel, especially when it comes to your money. So people are so protective of their money. And Greg, I think one thing that you have, that you teach as well as I do, is the abundant mindset, right? Not to be ignorant, but to understand that if you lose some money on an investment, you'll get it back. It'll show up in a different way. Maybe your marriage will be deeper. We know the concept of tithing and what we reap, we sow. It may not be that you give 20,000 and you make 30. It may be that something else in your life completely improves because of that. And so I believe in the law of abundance, and when we do one thing really well, hopefully that increases all the different buckets that we're trying to fill. And so I don't know where you want to take that specifically, but I'm sure you.
Well, you know what? I actually like that you brought that up, and I actually think I might do a separate interview series doing interviews of things like that, because I think you can learn a lot from tragedies and bad decisions. And maybe it was
Absolutely.
a bad decision, maybe it was a con man. I mean, I also have had experience with a con man, and it was like I don't give any blame for making a bad decision. The guy was just one of the best con men of it. It was just amazing how good he was. And again, it goes back to, like you said, where we want to help entrepreneurs. We want to help give them counsel so they can make better decisions, get there faster, and accomplish their dreams. And see, when we do that, we help our little cities that we live in. We help our communities that we live in. We help our families that we live in. And we're able to give back and honor God in doing that. So that's awesome. All right, so let me take this one. Let me take a little left turn here. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just want to say something real quick. I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of times and humans, we place blame, we play the victim role. And obviously this guy stole my money, right? That's just a fact. The reality is I still made a choice and a decision to write a check to him. So there's still some ownership that I have to take, and as hard as that is to swallow, like, you cannot move forward until you acknowledge the things you've done and grow from them. And it's a faith thing, it's a personal thing, it's a man thing. Like, I had to own up to what I did. I've forgiven him, right? I can't forget that, but hopefully it will teach me lessons. But you have to take full responsibility and full commitment to everything you're going to do. People will mess you up. Things will happen in life, but you have to take full ownership. Realize it's just something that happened, and then figure out how do you move forward from it. And so I challenge everybody, keep going forward. You're going to have stuff that happens. If you're in 9-to-5 job, in entrepreneurial world, in investment world, they're just going to happen. You've got to learn how do you learn from that, grow from it, protect others and yourself in taking that to the higher level.
Yeah, no, that's well said. That's like a whole nother teaching that we can start preaching, right? Because it's like, forgiveness is in there.
Absolutely.
It's like you have a choice on how
Sure.
you deal with that mentally, and the way you're dealing with it is a positive way, whereas other people, they let it, destroy them mentally. And the bottom line too with that is, I got to say this too, is, and we say this all the time, you cannot invest unless you understand you're risking 100% of your money. I don't care if you're investing in IBM, Microsoft, Google, whatever. I mean, you're risking 100% of
Right.
your money every time you invest. So the whole thing is, you take
Yep.
risks, you take calculated risks, you look for risk reducers, and the goal is that you can put that money to work for you, but it's always a risk. So let's take a left turn, and then I want to spend another couple minutes on one last question, kind of target this investor angle, and then I'm going to come back to your event, and then we're going to wrap it
Sure.
up in like the next 10 mints. So as an investor,
Awesome.
now you got a little money in the bank, maybe you're a millionaire. Maybe you're a multimillionaire and you got money in your Roth IRA, your different stuff, and let's say you're watching Shark Tank and you're going, man, I'd like to do that, right? And like you obviously got in a situation where you
Right.
want to do an investment. What's like the top one or two things that you would tell people, real bullet pointy, that hey, if you're going to do investments, what should you do?
I would say invest in something you know and love. Sports. I love sports. Now I still got burnt, but I was investing in a batting cage facility with a lot of pro athletes and everything, and so I loved it. I was going and hitting balls every day, and like it was something I knew and something. Now the person behind that wasn't the best person to invest with, but do something you already love. It's so funny when you look at like Motley Fool, for example. Motley Fool is a very kind of generic, dumbed down investment strategy, right? But it works. One of the first kind of investing books I read, and they give examples all the time of people that invest in all these crazy things, and then they look and they're driving a Harley, and they have Harley T-shirts, and they have Harley jackets, and they have Harley memorabilia, and they're investing in stuff they don't know. Like Harley, right? Why don't you put your money where that is? And so I would say do something you know, do something you love, and then I would also get as many third-party verifications of people that maybe they've done deals with or something that they've done to protect yourself from that. Now, obviously, there's going to be people you just got to invest in that you believe in them, where they're going. There's a lot of people doing that with me right now. I'm kind of at that boom, like momentum stage where people are getting behind me because they see what I've done over 5 years. They know where I'm going in the next 5. And I can point them to some people, but I would really say just get what's it called? Like when you apply for a job, you have somebody call your references.
Yep, get a
Why
reference.
wouldn't we do the same? Why wouldn't we do the same thing with our money, right?
Yeah. No,
It doesn't make any sense not to. So those are my 2 big things. Something you know, like, and trust or love doing, and then get some references to make sure that you at least feel comfortable. If you get burnt, you get burnt. But at least you know that you made a good decision based on your heart, the full assurance in the heart type thing. And then you got to just look at it and say, okay, next time I'm not going to do that. But those are my 2 big suggestions.
No, I love asking the questions and getting other people's opinion, because that's good. That's really good advice. And really, that's one of the things that we want to do at Angel Investors Network, is that we want to have deals come in. We have our entrepreneur, our business funding evaluation, where we charge them money to do a third independent valuation study so they can see where their holes are, and plus they can also use that. And then when we do invest, we try to invest as a network, right? So it's like you can invest alongside of us, you can invest along with us. So if we all lose, if we lose money, we all lose money. But the idea is that you're getting other pros on your team and you're working within that network and doing that. Okay, so with that being said, you've got an event going on here in Southern California. I know a lot of people on my list are all over the world. So if you have a need and if you need a reason to come to San Diego in the winter and get away from that, I just watched the news yesterday. It was like 5 below and 20 below wind factor in the Midwest. I'm like, oh my gosh! If you need a reason to get out, your event dates are the 6th. They start the 6th. What are the dates?
January 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
And it's called Change. Well, just tell us what's the name of the event. Go over the dates, where it's at. Give us the 1, 2, 3 on it.
Okay, Changing Lanes Live is Friday, January 23rd, Saturday, January 24th, and Sunday, January 25th. It's a full 3-day intensive experiential. We're going to do motivation, inspiration, coaching, transformation. Some of the keynotes that are coming above and beyond myself are the one and only Greg Reed that we've already talked about. He's speaking Saturday, right before we go to lunch. Saturday afternoon, we actually have Brian Smith, the founder of UGG. That's a $1 billion business. He's going to be talking about branding and how do you actually build a brand that literally is worldwide. He's also going to talk about the philosophical struggles behind how he made that come to be, because we look at UGG boots all over the world and say, oh, that's just another company. No, the story behind the story, as we know, is always the key to it, right? Friday, we're going to have Chip Smith. Chip Smith is one of the fathers of kind of fitness, and he's helped 1,200 athletes get to the pro level, mainly through the NFL, but he works with all high-end professional athletes. So he's going to be talking about teamwork and how do you physically and mentally get to the place in your business to get you to the next level. We've got Antonio Crawford. Antonio Crawford founded the National Christian Writers Conference that I've spoken at 5 times, and he's going to be talking about when you have a book, right, which we'll talk about here in a second, but a book doesn't do anything. Getting a book out there and leveraging it to get you on stages and get you on radio shows and to do interviews with Greg Ryder, right? Having a book authors your way to authority. So how do you do that, and how do you get market to the marketplace? And then we're going to have a full female entrepreneur panel with hopefully the founder of Hera Hub, which is huge here in San Diego, because I believe that women are very, very powerful, and my mom is a big reason why I do what I do. She's earned $1 million in her network marketing business, and we do that as a family full-time, which is awesome. It's one of those streams of income I have. Some love it, some hate it, whatever. It's worked for us, and if you work it, it works. So we've got a full thing, and then Friday night, Greg, is the book launch party. Red carpet. We got a Maserati, a Bentley, a Ferrari, Phantom Rolls Royce that's going to be parked right out front with the step and repeat ball and the 50-foot red carpet, and we got a famous jazz player coming in to play on the patio of Rancho Santa Fe. And I'm telling you what, I'm already jacked up, and we're 2 weeks away, and the vision of coming together is coming together, and so I hope you guys can come, whether it's the book launch party alone and just party with some people, or whether you come for the full 3-day intensive. I would challenge you to come. The networking alone is going to be worth the investment. If you just take one little nugget and turn it into something, man, $300, that's all it is to be there for 3 days. So it's a tiny investment, and I actually don't make any money on the full event. What I want to do is build a network of people out there that are doing big things so that we can come together, collaborate, change lanes together, and take our lives into overdrive. So that's the whole concept behind the Changing Lanes live event.
So, and we've been talking about this from the minute we started talking. It's like if you're out there and you want to be successful, you got to surround yourself with successful people. You got to get access to successful people, and you have to make investments in yourself, in your mind, and in your relationships. So I recommend you go to this event. If you can't go to this event, go to another event. You got to get there, get events, seek counsel. I want to support Lane and what he's doing because he's all about supporting the entrepreneurs. We're like-minded in that arena. Unfortunately, I have a previous ski trip engagement that I made over a year ago, so I will be skiing in Canada, or I would be there sitting in the stands, going through the experience and learning and growing as much as I can. But I'm sending some people from my office to go there and share that with you. So with that being said, so Lane, here's what's going on. So Lane's going to give you the website. And he set up a code for me. So Angel Investors Network, AIN. So he's going to give you a website. If you do want to go and you want to sign up and go, you can go check it out, read all about the event, and you decide to go. On the checkout page, you can put in the initials AIN. And when you do that, Lane's going to let me know that somebody listening to this bought that, and when he does that, I'm going to give you access to a new course that I'm creating that I'm probably going to sell in the multiple hundreds range, called 7 Secrets to Raising Capital. And I just finished secret number 5. I got 2 more secrets to go, and I'll be launching this within the next 2 weeks. So anyone who takes advantage of, basically you're raising your hand going, I want to go, you sign up, you use the AIN, Lane will let me know, and I'll give you a free copy of 7 Secrets to Raising Capital. And this is actually the foundation. If you don't have these 7 things, you don't stand a chance to raise capital. And on the other hand, if you do have these 7 things and you put them together, you literally separate yourself from the 90% of the world that doesn't know these things, doesn't implement them, and so it's going to give you a chance. So with that being said, give them the website. Last statement, we're going to wrap it up.
So the website is www.mylanechange.com. So again, mylanechange.com. You're going to see the various speakers that are going to be there, more about the info and how to book a hotel room and get the tickets. So again, www.mylanechange.com. And Greg, the last challenge that I would give to people is to accelerate your dreams. You know, we play small sometimes, and it's time to put the pedal to the metal It's time to take your life into overdrive, make that lane change, make that shift, and let's change the world together.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate your time, Lane. I know it's valuable, and we appreciate it. So I want to wrap up by saying this has been Greg Ryder, and I'm the CEO and founder of Angel Investors Network, and I'm looking for a newsletter. I'm the CEO and founder of Angel Investors Network, and we also publish this newsletter and have a membership site that you can get access to. We provide ongoing weekly, monthly training, both for the investor and the entrepreneur, because why? We want the investor to learn what we're teaching the entrepreneur, and we want the entrepreneur to learn what we're teaching the investor. Therefore, we all grow stronger, we all make better investments, we all create wealth together, and we perpetuate free enterprise. If that has any interest to you, please check out angelnetwork.com. Help support us in our vision to perpetuate free enterprise and capitalism and support entrepreneurs to success. This is Greg Ryder saying thank you very much, everybody. Do what I do, wake up every day with an attitude of gratitude and tell somebody you love them, and I promise you'll have a better day. Signing off.